everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, aka the Woolly Vet, and I am so happy to have you guys here today. A little bit of the obvious here is that I am not in my usual space. I am actually at my partner's family house up in the Highlands. I have been up here for a little over a month now, and I came up here during my off block from 5th year, so we get blocks to do some of our own veterinary things. So I actually scheduled my surgery during this time, so I've just been recovering up here in this beautiful, beautiful place. So it has taken me a little bit of extra time than usual to record this video. I actually did record a video yesterday, but my partner's room where I was recording it is actually still painted a bright yellow color from when he was young, so it was casting kind of a weird light after I reviewed the footage, so I was a bit disappointed in that, because I was really hoping to get this video up to you guys as soon as possible. But the trade-off is that I get to record in my favorite room in the house. This room is just full of windows and gets tons of natural light, and although it is a very gloomy, cloudy Scottish day, it is still getting tons of natural light, which is wonderful. So a little bit about today. So I have, I think, 5 finished objects, almost 6, I was so close. I have a couple of whips, and I definitely have a few acquisitions to share with you. And then I also have a little bit of some life update things for those who are interested, but I'll save that for the end, as I know that's not why everybody comes to watch my videos. So without further ado, we can hop right in. I am drinking some instant coffee that I have placed on the floor, so if you see me leaning down, but it's really tasty and very necessary for a gloomy day like today. So yeah, I will hop right in with some finished objects. So I'll start with what I'm wearing. This is the lace loop sweater by Other Loops. I was just about had it done in the last podcast, and it has been done for a little while. She just hasn't been fully washed and blocked yet, but I am so happy that she's done. It is my favorite sweater to throw on, and she definitely matches my coastal grandma aesthetic that I've been kind of going for in my wardrobe lately. So I'm just loving it. I used Filcolana alba and Filcolana tilia for this, and I'll insert the details as always for all of the works that you'll see here. I'll insert information to the side and also down below. So yeah, I was a little worried about the tilia being a little itchy scratchy. I think in general, any kind of mohair can potentially be quite itchy. So I have never really worn a finished object for a prolonged period of time that had mohair in it. So I was really curious to see how that would go, but it's really not bothering me. I can feel it on my skin a wee bit, but it's not itchy. It just, every now and then I'll feel a little prickle and I'll just readjust and it's fine. It's not bothering me too much, but I just really love it. I think it looks really polished, even though it does have these edges where you can kind of see it might be hand knit, but it just, I don't know, it just kind of has this pattern that just looks so, I don't know, like polished, finished. It looks like it could have been store-bought, and I just, not that that's the goal necessarily, but it kind of looks like a finished piece that adds to an outfit versus, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think you know what I mean. But yeah, so this is a lace loop sweater. I really, really love it. I think the colors are perfect, and yeah, I definitely have some ends to still weave in. This had a ton of ends that needed to be woven in at the end, and I honestly kind of gave up halfway through because as I've been recovering, I've been doing a lot of dopamine cast-ons and trying to blast through some projects, and weaving in ends just wasn't as enticing to me to spend my time. So I definitely do have ends to weave in on this, and that's kind of why washing and blocking has been put off a wee bit, but hey ho, it'll be done eventually. Right, well, I will move on to my next finished object, which is my pressed flower shawl, which some of you may have already seen on my Instagram. I'm so impressed with this pattern. I really didn't know how it was going to turn out because I used a fingering weight yarn or 2 different fingering weight yarns instead of DK weight, and these are sock yarns that were hand dyed, and I'll insert all the information for the hand dyer as well. I think I did in the last video too. So I was really excited, and I had looked at one person's kind of color scheme on Ravelry, and they had also used a fingering weight yarn, and that just kind of sold me. But I love it. I did an extra row of flowers, kind of superstitiously, because my surgery was on the 13th, and I believe I counted 12 pattern repeats for the flowers before you do the border, and I thought, well, I'll just add one more for length and also for luck. So maybe I'm a little stitious, but yeah, it's so drapey and flowy. I'm kind of just tossing it around and playing with it really as I'm talking to you, which is maybe not a little distracting, but I can just toss it on as I just tangled the whole thing. But I can just toss it on and it just drapes over my shoulders really nicely. I have also practiced tying it, and I could even potentially pin it. It just is so nice to toss over a dress or some short-sleeved white shirt that I've been wearing quite a lot with the weather being so nice up here. And yeah, it goes with everything really. It matches my kind of aesthetic and color scheme really well, especially the variegated blue, and then the pop of kind of the light kind of yellow and orange from that citrus twist. It just kind of brightens up the outfit really, and I just really love it. I've been wearing it quite a lot, and even brought it with me to the hospital and had myself all wrapped up in it, and I wore it when I came home as well, just because I was so indecisive with my temperature. I would be really warm when I had my heating pack, and then really chilly when the windows were open because I had overheated with my heating pack. So it was nice to just have around. And this is a mosaic colorwork style, so you just carry one color across the whole row, back and forth, and then you pick up the next color. And I think that's really nice because you get this really lovely back of this as well, but you're not catching floats or anything. It's just slip stitches and knit stitches, so you're very, very rarely purling. I think the only time you really purl is for the little flower motifs every now and then when you're on the back of the work. But I think it's actually really beginner friendly, even though it looks really complicated. As long as you know how to do your make one rights and make one lefts, I think you'd really be fine, to be honest. I really thought it was going to take a long time to finish this, and once I actually sat down at dedicated time, it just kind of flew. Towards the very end though, I will say, with the border, it was a bit of a slog just because it was getting longer and longer and longer, and I just was so excited to wear it that it was okay, it's so much longer on this flower and so much longer on this flower, and it was a little confusing on the edges with the kind of half flowers. I definitely messed up on the very, very edge, maybe some of those flower petals, but I just was ready for it to be done and to wear it. So, and I don't think that it's noticeable, so I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So yeah, so that was the pressed flower shawl. And then I have a bit of an exciting new knit that I've been working on, and this is half of the finished object, but one of our family friends just had a baby, and I have never knitted for baby garments before. I've knitted quite a few baby blankets now at this stage of the game, but I haven't knitted any baby garments, And yeah, I definitely will be doing garments again. But this is without the ends woven in or the buttons added. This is the Seaside Set, just the top part, of course. And I'm doing this in Filcolana Arwetta, and there's some cat hair on it, I'm just picking up. Filcolana Arwetta, and it's just so lovely and soft. I really, really love this piece. I think it's just, well, first it's just so cute. I'm going to put some little buttons here. I think they're mother of pearl kind of style buttons, where they have this little bit of like a marled brown on one side, and then it's kind of shiny and iridescent on the other, but I believe they were dipped in a resin or something, so it shouldn't be flaky or sharp or anything for the baby while he wears it. Yeah, so I'll just pop buttons along that side there, and I started the little trousers, but I will show you that when I get to the whips. But yeah, this is the little Seaside Set top. I will say I do wish there were at least a couple rows of short rows shaping in the back. I don't believe that there was. I think it's just, you just hop right into the raglan. I think it should be fine, but as you might be able to see, the bottom is rolling up. I mean, I have to still wash and block it, so hopefully the bottom won't roll up, but it is kind of falling a bit lower than the back. So I'm hoping that that won't be an issue when it's actually on the baby. But we will see. I mean, I don't even know. I did make the size 0 for a newborn because he was just born the other day. And hopefully it will fit him. I think at this stage, I would just be happy that she knows that I care, and it's just like a nice piece to give. I hope it will fit him. I believe that it will, and I think it will stretch a wee bit as well with some blocking, because I don't think that my gauge was perfect by any means. So it might be a little bit, I think it's like 0 to 3 anyway. I think that's how the sizing works. But yeah, I think a little bit of stretch will be okay for the first couple weeks. So when we're finally able to meet baby, but mom is doing well, so that is also wonderful, wonderful news. And hopefully once they're home and comfortable and settled, and when she's ready, we can pop over and say hello. So yeah. Right, next finished object are my Murmuration Socks. And these I had actually talked about in, I think, my last podcast. I started these during my first week of final year, and I casted it on when I was just listening to some health and safety videos, or lectures rather, presentations, and I finished the sock like in a day or two, and I cast on the other sock, and that was kind of towards the end of the week of lectures, so I didn't have that dedicated time to really work on it, and I kind of just put it on the back burner for quite a while. And I think the lace motif on this is really, really easy, but I think it was just that extra attention that I needed to pay to it instead of just knitting in the round stockinette, that made it just that little bit, not daunting, but just, it wasn't the comfort knit that I was looking for, I think, when I was dealing with my health type things. So I did end up just sitting down and finishing it in an afternoon, which is really all it took, because I had at least started I had been working on it just periodically, little pattern repeats. But it's so fast that I got to the, I think it's the 6th pattern repeat, and I was like, oh, I can just do the foot now. And I did a kind of a cool heel. This is the Afterthought heel construction, and I think that it's so cool. I think it looks really nice that the lines for the toe and the lines for the heel, they're the same, but they look so different when you're wearing it, because the heel will actually make like a nice kind of ridge down the angle of the heel with this. I don't know if you can see that there. Maybe you can't. Maybe you can't. Yeah, well, anyway. So I did really enjoy these socks. These are knitted up, if I haven't said already, which I haven't. These are knitted in Cascade Heritage in the color white. And they're just so lovely and soft. They do need a wash and a block. They have been worn, which you might be able to tell. They have been worn, so they do have a bit more of a socky shape to them, which is nice, but they definitely would benefit from a little, at least wash or steam and block. So the Murmuration Socks, if I haven't said, these are by Summerlee, and I do have her sock knitting book, which is, and these are the first socks that I've ever finished. So I definitely am very excited to make some more socks. I had purchased some of the, I think it's the Addy Sock Wonder, like little sock needles. I think that's what they're called. I'll correct myself, I'm sure, if that's not the right name. I ordered them in the size 2, 2.5, and 3 millimeters. And it's so fun. One needle, if you don't know about those particular needles, they're tiny little circular needles. I believe they're also considered 9-inch circulars, but it's it's definitely shorter than the length of the 9-inch cord cable that you would put on your circular needles. And there are 2 different lengths when you're knitting. So you have the longer one that's slightly skinnier and pointier on your dominant side, and then a slightly shorter and chunkier one on the left, and you can just pick them up a lot easier, which is amazing. And I find them a lot more comfortable, especially since the longer side you can hold in your dominant hand, and so you have something to rest your hands on, which is great. So that is the Murmuration Socks. And then last but not least, final object is my Monday sweater. And I'll insert some B-roll of me wearing it. I think I recorded some yesterday. And this sweater, it was such a fast knit. It was such a fast knit, and I really loved working on it. I started it right before I went into the hospital for surgery. I just had cast on the neckline and maybe some of the shoulder shaping or the raglan shaping. And while I had ended up staying in the hospital for 2 nights, which was really unexpected. It was supposed to be outpatient procedure with maybe an overnight due to the timing of the surgery, but I ended up staying the extra night, so I had plenty of solo knitting time, which thank goodness I had brought all of my knitting things, and I was so worried I was going to run out of yarn, so I was trying to pace myself because I was just flying through it. And I really, really love it. I used Biche Bouche Le Petite Lamb's wool in the Claire Grey, which I think is like light grey melange. And I used Isager Soft Silk Mohair or Silk Mohair in the color grey as well, or silver grey as well. And I held those 2 together, and it's created this really squishy, soft fabric. I haven't obviously worn it for a prolonged period of time yet to know if it does bother me, the mohair. I believe I will switch to more of an alpaca or a replacement for mohair in the future, just because it's just to save myself that little bit of prickle on my skin. It's not making me itchy, but it is something I can feel. So like on this sweater I can feel it, on this sweater even without wearing it I can definitely feel it. One thing about the Monday sweater though is you start, like most raglans, you'll start with the collar, and I had a tremendous amount of trouble with this collar, and I think it's the yarn choice. I think it's just a little too puffy for the construction that is described in the pattern, so I did have to make a couple of adjustments. I redid this neckline I think 3 or 4 times, if you can believe it, including the first time. So the first time it was folded over and it just looked a bit silly. It just looked like a little bleb on the edge of the sweater, and it was kind of dipping forward, and it was also sideways. I posted a picture on my story on Instagram and just was like, WTF is this, really? Because I had picked up the stitches, and it was one of these things where I counted the stitches, I started on the correct spot, which I redid 3 different times in case it needed to be further to the left or further to the right. And as I went around, it just slanted and I couldn't seem to get it not to slant. And I said, whatever, it'll probably be fine. It'll probably just block out. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. And then I put it on and it was so obvious, because it wasn't as obvious, like not on me, but it was so obvious when it was on that it was just like hard, like just like so slanted. So I ripped it back and did it again, and that time it was also just like it was straight, but it was too gapey. I picked up too many stitches along the neckline, and then I ripped it back again, which, as you know, with mohair is not really possible. So I had to cut everything off. I was wasting so much very expensive yarn, and I mean, I do save all of my yarn scraps to one day make my own tweed type mix yarn, so it will be put to use eventually one day. But yeah, just it was really frustrating. And of course, in a raglan construction, they're all live stitches on the edge, so I was just like in straight panic mode for multiple days trying to sort this out. And then I had knit it up again and it wasn't cinching in properly, and so I just did a tiny little bit of twisted rib at the base, which looks a little decorative, and then I just did a 1x1 ribbing as directed. I did my 9 rows, folded it over, and I think it looks a lot better. I think it actually is holding its shape a lot better. I think it looks more polished. I do have some imperfections along the edge that will need double stitched just to fix, just from picking up so many times from the edge and trying not to drop any of the stitches. And of course it was a bit inevitable, and I did crochet a lot of them back up to where they needed to be, but yeah, so that was that. So I will just give this a good wash and block, weave in my ends. Sorry if you can hear the dogs barking. I'm looking around at them running after the horses. So I'm just gonna give that a wash and a block. Hopefully that softens up the mohair a wee bit more, and I'm really excited to have just a nice big squishy gray sweater. I'm hoping that it does grow quite a bit because the sleeves are a wee bit shorter than I would like. So yeah, so that I believe is the end of the finished objects. There is one that I almost finished for today's podcast. I recorded my video last night and had said that I could probably have this done by tonight if I sat down and did it. And to be honest, I easily could have had it done by last night, but I was watching a movie with my friend and I ran out of yarn and I was like, forget it, I'm not gonna get up and get more. I am too lazy. So I was gonna save it for this morning. I had a bit of a lie-in. I was a bit sore this morning, so I just had a bit of a lie-in, which was nice. And yeah, so this is actually the Sabai top. And she just needs about 6 more centimeters, if that, of length. And it is made with Sendness Garn Lena in the color that is a number that I don't remember. I can actually find that, 1 second. It is in 4315. And it's just this lovely pink. It has this really interesting construction to the yarn. It is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. So it actually feels quite cold to the touch, which is such an interesting experience. So working up with this fabric, it actually just feels like almost like it was in the refrigerator. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, if I were to put it on my face, it's actually cooler than my body temperature. And it's such an interesting construction of yarn that it's able to stay that cooler temperature. And I'm really curious to see how it feels when it's being worn. So I've really enjoyed making this Sabai top. I could have finished this in 2 sittings. That is how kind of easy and quick this is. So it has a really cool construction where you make the shoulders in the round by making increases every row. So you'll actually cast on in the round, do increases every row. So instead of doing like make one right, go all the way around and then knit and all the way around, you're just doing your increases every single row, which looks a little bunchy and funny on the needles. But then when you take them off to separate for the front and back, they just relax into this really beautiful shoulder shape. So I'm doing the Sabai Top 2, so it doesn't have the ribbing on the edges or on the neckline, but I was quite excited to try a raw hem or raw edge for one of my garments. So I'm knitting the second size, which I think is size small, and I think I'm off gauge, so it is looking like it might be a bit bigger, definitely in the armhole department here. But I'm really excited to see what it looks like on. I just haven't put my little plastic tubing on the edges to be able to just put it on. I just have to do that at some point. So I'm really excited about this. I think it will be done by the end of the day today. I really love this color. I'm hoping, I don't know how the lighting is gonna be. I've tried to set up all sorts of contraptions in here to make the lighting good, but I don't know if this is my color or not, but we will see how it goes. But yeah, so that is a Sabai top. I strongly recommend you giving it a go if you're looking for a quick summer garment to whip off the needles and have ready to go for the rest of the summer. I know that there are definitely a lot of YouTubers for sure, my knitting YouTube community friends who are making one just now, and I highly recommend you cast one on if you haven't already. And I think it would be really fun to make this with a stripe motif as well. Like if you did kind of like a white with some blue or black striping that goes down, or if you did maybe some fun summer colors that you really like, or maybe a bunch of different colors. I think you could potentially get a wee bit scrappy. I know that it calls for this kind of linen type of yarn, like the tin, or not tin lina, the sadness garn lina is the recommended yarn, but I think you could get away with making this in plenty of other types of yarn. I think a DK weight fiber would be fine as long as you're happy with how it will sit on your skin as a summer garment, depending on where you live in the world. And I think you could potentially make this quite scrappy. I was even discussing modifying the pattern and adding kind of like a long sleeve to this and making it kind of like a kind of a boat neck top with a long, almost bell sleeve type situation. I think that would also be really cool. But yeah, I really like this top. I think the construction is genius, and I will definitely, like, this has really inspired me, the construction of this, so I'm definitely nowhere near ready to start whipping out my own patterns, but definitely got the wheels turning for sure. Coffee break. Right, so now I have in this little baggie here, I've got the trousers for the Seaside set, and they're in this little brown color to go with, hold on, to go with the stripes on the top. So I thought it would be nice to have a little matching set that's a little bit opposite of each other, but I won't put stripes on this one. I think the solid color looks really nice, and that I think is what's given in the pattern photos. Ooh, it's getting a wee bit warm in here. So that's what's given in the pattern photos. I am almost at the point to being able to separate for each of the legs. It has to be, I think, 14 centimeters from the top. So I will be doing that pretty soon, which is exciting, and I'm hoping to just, the puppies. So I'm hoping to just have that done pretty soon. So that is the Seaside Trousers. And this is also in Filcolana Arwetta. And then the next work in progress that I'm really excited about, this is the first all over lace that I've ever done. And this is the Pierre top. And I'm making it in this really interesting yarn. It is the Crea Deluxe Organic Cotton, and it's a fingering weight, I believe, yeah, it's a fingering weight cotton yarn, and it has this really interesting feeling to it. It feels really soft and springy, but it's definitely, yeah, it definitely has really lovely drape to it as well. And here, I don't know, there. It's really hard to show lace without a proper white background, but I think you can kind of get the gist of it. Anyway, so this is the back panel. I will be I'm going to extend the edges for the shaping for the armholes, and then I will move on to the front panel. And yeah, I mean, I did this, I think, in 2 sittings, and I think it's like 2.5 pattern repeats of the motif that's given in the pattern. And I was really daunted at first because I had to really closely read the pattern instructions. I was really overwhelmed at first because there are a lot of written instructions, but they're easy to follow, written instructions. You just have to make sure you go through and pay attention to what the designer is saying. And then I did just a lot of highlighting, and I wrote some notes to myself before I even cast it on, which I almost never do. But then once I figured out what to do, then that was it. That was fine. I was really glad I was using metal needles because I did have to adjust my gauge in a really big way. I had to do like a knit 6 together type deal, or I think it's 6. It could be 4. I might be being silly. But you have to knit quite a few stitches together, and my gauge was far too tight to be able to do that. So I had to really relax my gauge. So it looks even, and it is really so much looser than I've ever knit before. But I think it's what we need. And I'm knitting, I think, the smallest size based off of my measurements. But I think with the gauge difference, it will be okay. I think I am definitely I'm just knitting quite loosely, and I didn't gauge swatch. It's becoming a bit of a thing. I watched this really interesting video on TikTok of somebody explaining how he decides how he makes what size he chooses, and he made his gauge swatch and measured it, and he was going to knit a size extra large because that was the positive ease that he wanted for his body type. And then based off of his gauge swatch, he ended up knitting the size medium, and it fit him perfectly with the right amount of positive ease. And I was like, well, I should probably do that because I really love an oversized fit, and I seem to potentially be preventing myself from having the fit that I want based off of knitting the size that I think fits my bust circumference, for example, because I tend to be on the much smaller side of bust circumference type things when I'm picking a size, but then I'm actually looking for something more oversized. So even though it says 10 to 20 centimeters of positive ease with this bust size, I'm not necessarily getting that. That was a really long side tangent about something that isn't really super relevant to this pattern, but yeah, so I'm really curious to see how this continues to knit up. I'm really excited about it, and I really enjoy this yarn, and I recommend you giving it a try. Again, this is the Crea Deluxe Organic Cotton, and then this is in the colorway, let me see, 35. Which I think is a nice kind of warm red, which is really hard to find, I think, for me, a red that looks good. I tend to have reds that really wash me out or bring out like weird undertones. So red is quite a challenging color for me to pull off. So I'm really optimistic that this one looks good. Yeah. And then last but not least for whips is Camisole No. 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I have been working on this for a while. It's actually on pause just now on my Ravelry. I took the needles off and everything. I have every now and then been working on some aspect of it. One day I just did the folded hem, or folded neckline rather, and I did that, which I think came out okay. I did put some kind of guide stitches here, which are visible on the back, which I don't know how much they bother me yet, but I had just kind of tacked down the neckline so I knew it wasn't going to twist, because it's quite a lot of stitches to tack down. And I had done that, and I'm happy I did that, but it doesn't look like as polished of a finish as maybe some other people's have looked. But I do like the edging. It looks quite nice. Yeah, and then as you can see, I've done one armhole. I haven't folded it down yet, but I did the ribbing for one armhole, and then I will just have to do the other armhole, and then I can continue just knitting in the round. I have done a little bit of the body. I've added probably about like 4 or 5 centimeters, maybe 4 centimeters on the bottom of the armhole. So I definitely have a lot of knitting to go. It's on a really tight gauge, and yeah, it's something that I'll definitely keep working at. It just, the amount of work that was involved, I was looking for more instant gratification, so I just needed a break from it. It just was not super enjoyable anymore, which is sad to say, because I think everybody that's finished one of these tops, they look so good, and I know that they're staples in their wardrobe, and I want that, but the amount of work that it's taking to get there just doesn't feel exciting just now. Well, and I think that's what brings me on to some acquisitions and some knitting plans, and that is I bought more of the Crea cotton, the Crea Deluxe organic cotton. Yeah, don't know why I can't say that. Crea Deluxe organic cotton, and I got this one in the color, I can't remember, the color 04, which is like the light yellow color, which in person perhaps has ever so slightly greenish hue, but that it's weird because it definitely looks yellow, but all together, really close together, it's like just that little bit muted, and for some reason gives it that almost like very subtle brown hue. But I think knitted up it won't. I think it'll look more light yellow than what it looks like in the cake version. But I got a couple of these to try to perhaps make the Monday suit by PetiteKnit for the baby. But we'll see if I get there. I was really inspired by all of these baby knits because they are just so fast to knit up. And I had started the Monday suit in, it was like an alpaca. I can't remember what yarn I had selected, but it was an alpaca that I had chosen, and I was holding it double, like a lace weight alpaca, and I was holding it double, and it just had these really long tendrils of like the fine fiber hairs, and I was thinking, like, this isn't right. Like, I can't give this to a baby. It's just gonna make them, it's gonna stick to everything. And I was so frustrated, but I was also frustrated about the color, because the color that I had purchased was this kind of medium brown, but online it looked like a kind of like a teddy bear brown, and when I got it, it was definitely brown, but it had this like very obvious yellow-green kind of color through it, and I really don't know what that's about. I think I'm just gonna use it in some socks as like maybe an accent for, like, I would imagine stone knits, like the hens, like the chicken socks is what I call them, but I know that it's like the hen something, I'll put it here, but the hen socks, like I'm dying to knit those, and I think that color would be fine for chicken, and I can use that for some chicken socks, but and things like that. So I'll definitely keep the yarn and it'll have a use. It just was really disappointing. And my other, I think it was Filcolana Alva that I had purchased, yeah. And I have a couple of other, like this is in Filcolana Alva. I have a couple of other kind of paused whips with Filcolana Alva, and it's not a super fluffy, itchy, dry, it's just not. And every time I've knit with it, it's so lovely and soft. I mean, this is Alva and Tilia. It's lovely, soft, drapey. I really love it. I mean, the Tilia gives it this really lovely halo, but the Alva doesn't, it's not super fuzzy. Like I didn't remember having fluff like that with the Alva. And this one in particular, I don't know what it was about this particular colorway, or if it's this particular type of like natural fiber or something. It just felt coarser and almost itchier, and it didn't have that like lovely soft feeling that the Alva tends to feel for me. So yeah, that's a lot of chat about something that I'm not doing, but I just thought that was a bit strange. So the Monday suit will be incoming, I believe, soon, and I think I'll make it in a slightly larger size so the baby could grow into it, but we'll see. We'll see if I get around to it. I'm really happy with the Seaside set, and we'll see if I get to the Monday suit, because I have so many whips and plans and things that I would love to get started on as well. Additionally, I have some extra yarn from the from the Seaside set, and that is more of my Filcolana Arwetta. And I think I'm going to make the Fiorita socks. I'll insert them here in her Skein. I had started these socks in a Lazy Days colorway by Hedgehog Fibers and Cascade, Heritage, and White. And I learned my lesson pretty quickly about color dominance, and I'll show you in a second. I've kept it for the purpose of this video to show you my epic failure of color dominance. But I'm thinking either way I went, if I made the sock this color and I learned a new technique called Estonian inlay, and that's what in her Skein does for her socks. And so I could do either color, and either one could do the Estonian inlay because they're both quite strong, like solid colors. So I'll just have a think on that. I do tend to like my white socks, but having a cozy brown wouldn't be so bad either, I don't think. But yeah, I have some leftover of this, which is exciting, and I have a bag of birthday fiber for myself, which I'm really excited about. So apologies if you hear some crinkling, because it is in this plastic bag, but my birthday was earlier in June, and my friend had spoiled me with some yarn. My partner did as well, but all of the yarn that he ordered was out of stock, so it still hasn't arrived yet. But yeah, they're definitely feeding my yarn addiction. Since I've been recovering, I've been buying yarn like for projects at least once a week, if not more, which has been it's been really fun. Retail therapy from home. But the first one that I would love to share is Nomad, which is a 90% merino and a 10% alpaca, and has I love the skein drape. You can already appreciate, and it just has these really lovely colors. It's like pinks and greens and flecks of like this really shocking purple color. It's got this like bluish gray through it as well. And I just think that it's really stunning. And it has, I mean, this is the Hedgehog Fibers fun holographic packaging, which I think is really cool. So these are hand dyed in Ireland, and yeah, I'm really excited. I think, so my friend who gave this to me, this like just really reminds me of colors that she would wear, and I have, I'll insert the pattern here. I forgot to write down my notes for patterns and names, but I'm trying to make her, or I'm going to make her a tie back top that I think would look really, really cool in this colorway. So I think that's going to be one of my next cast-ons, but it was so nice of her to get me these yarns, because there are more than that, so bear with me, because she really spoiled me. The next one that is just stunning is Beach Bunny, which is another 100% merino wool DK weight sock, DK weight yarn. It is so beautiful. It's like light blues and bright oranges and flecks of this like neon green, and it just reminds me of kind of like a beach sunrise or sunset with like the green grass on the edges of the beach, and it just looks so beautiful, and I'm so excited. Okay, well, hopefully the angle hasn't changed too much. My phone just overheated. Crazy that just happened in Scotland. So I will try to be a little bit quicker in case it cuts me off again. But yeah, so these are two of the beautiful fibers that she had got me, and then the one of the other ones that she got me is this really, really stunning color called Opalite, which is 90% merino and 10% nylon fingering weight yarn, and I think that this is just so, so beautiful, and I really want to make myself a bra or bralette out of this yarn. It's just so lovely and soft and beautiful. And yeah, she also got me some mini skeins as well. So she got me two of the color Nomad, which looks like this really beautiful blue with flecks of purple and orange. And she also got me this color called Damsel, which is like really beautiful purples and greens. And I feel so unbelievably spoiled by this gift. I mean, I actually purchased the set by Hedgehog Fibers for her as well, for her birthday, which is like a week before mine. We've known each other since we were 3, and we've always had birthdays like 7 days apart. So I got her some yarn, and then she got me some yarn because I've been kind of introducing her to the world of knitting. So I'm very excited to find use for these lovely little minis. And hold on. I also wanted to show you my epic sock failure just quickly. So this is my epic sock failure when I learned my lesson for color dominance. So it actually doesn't look half bad here, but I had started up top with the Lazy Days and the Cascade Heritage there, and I thought that motif looked all right. And then as I kept going, I felt like you kind of lost the definition of what the pattern is supposed to look like. And in this view, it's not quite as terrible as it kind of was, but I just feel like you can't really make out what you're looking at, and I really learned my lesson. So the gauge on this, or the tension of these stitches, is all sorts of messed up just now because I was playing around with it and really trying to make it work, and it just didn't work. So that was my epic sock failure that I really was keen to share before the end of this video. I'm just gonna pop these back in here. And yeah, so I have some more yarn on the way. I did join a yarn club by the Stitch and Skein, I believe is her handle, and I'll insert some information over here. But she does, she's currently doing a I subscribe to the Duo collection, so it's like a variegated and a solid colorway. I think it's a sock yarn or fingering weight yarn, and she's dyeing them based off of Studio Ghibli movies, which I have only seen a few of them, but I think they're really cute and the art is really well done, and I definitely have an appreciation for them. So I just thought it was really cool, and there's definitely some of the Studio Ghibli movies that I do just really, really like. So I was really excited about that. And so I'm really excited to get my first shipment soon. I believe I subscribed a little bit late in June, or May rather. So I think I missed the June box. So hopefully in July I will get my first one. So I'm very excited about that. And I also ordered some yarn for the Salty Days sweater. And I ordered some blue, I'm gonna say some blue yarn, but I'll insert it here. It was on sale on one of my favorite companies to buy yarn from. So I just ordered it off of there, and hopefully that will be coming in the next couple of days. But it was really funny because I was chatting with my partner, one of their family friends, who is ultra crafty. She actually teaches traditional Scottish kilt making, which is so cool. She's like my idol, and I think she's so cool. But she was chatting to me about her knitting machine and what she does with that, and the cones of yarn that she has and everything. And I had said, or my partner was teasing and saying, yeah, she filled an entire duffel bag and brought yarn up here. And she had replied, well, you can fit it all in a duffel bag, then you don't have enough yarn. And I was like, well, if that wasn't a sign that I need to buy more yarn, I don't know what is. And my partner was a little bit beside himself because he's like, oh, yeah, you buy yarn like multiple times a week. But I have been blasting through it. I'm trying to be responsible as possible when it comes to my yarn collection, because I really am enjoying collecting yarn, especially hand-dyed yarn. I think there's a lot of artistry in hand-dyed yarn, and I also just have an appreciation for wool and yarn that is ethically sourced and supports British farming. So I've been trying to do a little bit of research there, so and then supporting small businesses that sell the yarn that I like. So this particular website, knit.co.uk, is one that is a small business that has stunning yarns, honestly, just really top quality yarns, and I've been really enjoying purchasing from them, and they're very, very quick. And then Tribe Yarns, which is just down the road from me right now, which is so cool. And their shipping is like that, because they're right up the street. And she also has a huge collection of just different types of yarn. So that's been really, really fun to kind of give me that dopamine hit of a little bit of retail therapy and get the creative juices flowing. But the Salty Days sweater by Kutovakika is on my queue to be knit ASAP. I think I would like to try, no promises, but I would really like to try and do a project vlog. I think I've been watching a lot of vlog style videos lately, and especially since I've been kind of not trapped, but I haven't been able to get around as easily, and I have been definitely more of a homebody than usual while I've been recovering from surgery, and I've been just blasting through everyone's podcasts. So if you have a podcast, or if you have a favorite podcaster, definitely let me know, because I have found a lot of really amazing knitting YouTubers over the past couple weeks, which has been really fun. But I would love to find more and see who you like, or if you're a content creator, I would love to see what you have as well and connect with you guys that way, because I believe I will be hanging out a little bit more than usual, which I'll get into shortly. But yeah, so I would love to do a vlog style video of the Salty Days sweater. I think it is just such a gorgeous pattern. I've had it on my kind of wish list forever and ever, and well, since it came out, really. I actually watched her, I think she has her tutorial video where she kind of vlogs her making it and kind of the tutorial for certain parts of it as she does. She just an incredible lady. I did buy her book, but it wasn't in that particular most recent book, so I did buy this pattern separately from that. And yeah, I'm super excited to cast on, and I would love to do a vlog style video of me doing that and kind of hold myself a bit more accountable. I'm trying to get more comfortable behind the camera to try to record more things for you guys. And since I have a bit more free time on my hands, I can actually do that. So here's hoping. And yeah, so that's my next order of business. I have a couple of things hopefully coming in the mail. I ordered a book, Arctic Knits by Sasky & Co., which I'm hoping will come soon. I ordered it online from her online shop, and I'm not entirely sure I haven't really tracked the shipping, so I'll have to investigate that a little bit further, but I ordered that about a week ago, and yeah, so I ordered that about a week ago, so I'm waiting for that to come in the mail. And yeah, I think a lot of her patterns on there are really cool. They're just like yoke color work, knit in some really nice yarn as well. And I'm really interested in getting into some more color work this year. Right, I'm getting a wee bit rambly now, but I will jump in now to some more personal life related things. So if that is not your cup of tea, I totally understand. And I'm so grateful that you came for the knitting aspect of this video. And yeah, but I do have, for those that are interested, some life updates. I know it has been a bit of a topic of conversation in my past videos relating to endometriosis and pelvic pain, which has been my overshare with the internet, and everyone has been so lovely and kind. And I know a lot of you are actually struggling with either similar things or know someone that's struggling with similar things, or you yourself have a chronic illness or chronic pain. And yeah, I wasn't, it's funny because when I started this YouTube, I wasn't planning on sharing anything really personal about my life, but it has kind of taken over a wee bit of myself, like just who I am, and the things I've been going through lately has been really kind of a lot. And since I shared on my first podcast, or the first time I shared about all of this on the podcast, I got a really overwhelming amount of comments that could relate. And I think if there's that many people that can relate, it might be worth still chatting about. But I don't know, I'm still trying to test the waters on what I share and what I don't share with, I say the void, but you're all so lovely, and it has felt like a community since I started sharing, and I am really grateful for that. But I will say, I received my endometriosis surgery. If you haven't gathered that already, I've been kind of hinting at it throughout the video. I did get my laparoscopic surgery on Friday, June 13th, through the NHS, which was a bit of a whirlwind and a bit unexpected that it was able to be worked out that way. I received my surgery. They did find endometriosis. It was stage 1, luckily. I know that the stage doesn't necessarily correlate with pain, but I did have one kind of very obvious lesion that they were able to excise, and they had suspected potentially there were some microscopic lesions, so they had suggested and recommended that I went on a secondary birth control tablet thing, which I have avoided for many, many years, but here we are. But in addition to the endometriosis, they did find evidence of something called pelvic congestion syndrome, which is more likely the cause of a lot of my pain and discomfort in my pelvic region, and the nerve pain that's secondary to that versus the endometriosis. They definitely weren't helping each other. But basically, kind of the short and sweet of pelvic congestion syndrome, if you're not familiar, because I sure wasn't, never heard of it before in my life, it is when there is dilation or varicosity, so varicose veins in your pelvis or your pelvic region. So I have varicose veins that were pretty obvious around my uterus and ovaries, so kind of like fallopian tube type area. which I was able to actually see from the images on my laparoscopic surgery that was saved. So they were able to show it to me, and it definitely looks as angry as I feel inflamed. So it was a little bit surprising because I didn't feel like I got a ton of information from the surgical team or the doctors on my case about what it was, how to treat it, blah, blah, blah. So I had to do quite a lot of research on my own. And what I had found is that there are a couple of different physiological reasons for it to happen, and pretty obviously just a block in the vein somewhere. So whether it's compressed from other vessels somewhere down the line, or pressure between like one of my major vessels and my spine could potentially be causing it. And those have two names, May-Thurner syndrome and Nutcracker syndrome. So those are two pretty well like defined causes of it. And then there are other kind of genetic links and estrogen linked potential causes of it as well. Apparently it's not super well researched because of course it's women's health and it predominantly affects women. They had told me it was a rare condition, but upon further research, I believe it's 30% of women that complain of pelvic pain, consistent pelvic pain, tend to have this condition. So I don't know in the grand scheme how common that is, but if endometriosis is every, 1 in 3 women, you would assume that they have pelvic pain. And I have unfortunately both of these things. So I'm in the process of trying to get diagnosed I am diagnosed with that condition, but kind of worked up officially for that condition by a vascular specialist, which requires an MRI and some contrast studies, etc., etc. And unfortunately, with the laparoscopic surgery and the excision of the endometrial tissue, that inflammation from the surgery does seem to have exacerbated my pelvic congestion syndrome related pain. So getting around has been really difficult. The pain has really come and gone in massive waves. I mean, it was really, really consistent for 2.5 weeks. Just in the past 2 days or so, I've been able to wean myself down off of the opioids that I was prescribed. So I am opioid free today, which is great. But I have been giving myself pain medication when I need it. But I'm just trying to minimize that as much as I can and save it for when I really, really, really need it. Which means that I actually am not able to work at the veterinary hospital that I was originally planning to work at over the next couple of weeks, which has been really devastating. And then on top of that, it may potentially have an impact on my final year studies. I am willing to just tough it out, for lack of a better way to describe it. I mean, I've very much been a person to just get on with it, but the pain has been so debilitating, and I don't really know what else to do because I don't want to take a leave of absence and I don't want to go part-time, which are the two options I was given so far. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I will be graduating on time if there's anything that I can do to help it. So that is the plan as of right now. So yeah, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of PCS or pelvic congestion syndrome, or if, or what, but if you do, or if you have it yourself, if you feel comfortable sharing or reaching out, I would love to hear your experience and your stories or what helped you with this pain, because it has just been a long haul just trying to have my pain validated by anybody, and these people don't know me, I don't know them. So they don't know that I don't complain about these things, is a general rule. And the fact that I am complaining in the first place is a problem. And the fact that I can't do my job is a problem. And I think that everybody's pain is valid, and that if you talk to your doctor about how you're feeling, they should listen. And it just seems to be so difficult to get that even validated. So yeah. Hopefully I will have good news very soon. I'm very optimistic that hopefully we'll have some answers and that I can get whatever treatment they deem is necessary, and I'll be feeling a lot better. And I'm holding on to that hope because, oh my goodness. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today, and for coming along on a very rambly day of, of catching up on the podcast. There's definitely a lot to go through today, so thank you if you've made it this far in the video. And please let me know what you've been working on. I hope you got a lot of knitting done during this video. If you would like to see any type of content from me, I would love some positive reinforcement if you would like to see some vlog style videos, or some more kind of like what I'm hoping to knit style videos. I have been really considering doing that because I have tons of ideas all the time. I just am trying to get more comfortable behind the camera, I think is my number one thing. But yeah, I'm hoping to improve on that. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. And if you liked what you saw today, you could always support me by liking or subscribing. And I also have an Instagram, which is @thewoollyvet. And I like to share a lot of my kind of what I'm up to. I post stories every day, and I love to chat with people on there. So yeah, definitely give me an ad if you are interested in that, and I would love to chat with you on socials. Yeah, okay, I'm done now. It was lovely to see you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.